Good evening and welcome to episode 4 of Racing Clear. I'm delighted to be joined again by Matty Sutcliffe. Matty, how are you?
Yes, mate. All well. Not bad at all. Bit of a somber start to the podcast. Of course, we both of us wish our best wishes to Michael Sullivan and his close family and friends. What else can you say? I mean, just such a horrible, horrible thing. I think you never want to expect the worst. Here, we're always hoping for a glimmer of hope that he could come out of the other end. Obviously, I never knew Mark on a personal level, but I was there that Tuesday at Cheltenham when he won the Supreme and the Boodles on Marine National and Jazzy Matty. And that was the first time me, my dad, and my brother all went to the festival together. So it was a special moment for me that I'll never forget. Just a top man inside and outside of the saddle in the weighing room. And it'll leave a huge legacy. Can only offer our most sincerest condolences to his family and friends.
That's it. And I think you've you've got that spot on. It's an overriding sense of just sadness, isn't it? That like we all will miss him as a jockey and watching his incredible talents, but there's a lot more to him than just a jockey. Obviously, he was a brilliant young man. His family and partner and friends, the devastation that they must be feeling. I think it's been kind of evident in. I know personally myself anyway. This week, I hardly watched a race. I just from Sunday onwards, it just kind of ruled over everything really, and it puts everything in perspective. And like you say, we were all kind of hoping for the best. Well, the fall didn't look good, but it's just incredibly sad for him and everyone that knows him. I didn't know him either personally now, but like you say, it just I feel like I've enjoyed hearing the stories about him this week and learning more about him, but there's almost an element of I wish, everyone should have known about Michael O'Sullivan and his talents while he was with us. And that's probably a little kind of side note as well, that we probably don't um, put out our superstars enough for what they do for our sport, our jockeys and our trainers. We probably don't glamorize them enough. I know some sports they really glamorize their stars, and it's probably an area that racing that we could do more of. I've really enjoyed kind of hearing about Michael and his stories, but unfortunately, I wouldn't like to hear about them in the circumstances that I have.
Yeah, completely echo all of that. I think everything else this week just felt, well, of the last 10, 15 days, just felt completely insignificant, really, hasn't it? I think.
That's it. That's it. Um, yeah, and it's you'd love to be kind of looking forward to Cheltenham, and it's normally time of year where I really am getting excited, but it's taken a back seat definitely this week.
Yeah, it has. It has. Yeah, so we'll try to kick off more of a positive note. Anything that took your eye over the weekend? Do you manage to catch anything?
I went back to. I know we didn't record last week, so I went back to the previous week and the Newbury Handicap. And Go Dante is a horse that I actually wrote about him in my column that week. I see he's been dropped 3 pounds because I actually wrote the column thinking that he might get maybe dropped a pound. He's been dropped 3 pounds for that effort, down to a mark of 127. But he's now 2 pounds below his last winning mark. I thought he was really eye catching in that race. I thought he was much better than the bare result now. He made a bad mistake. I think it was at third last, and then he was hampered by the fall of Secret Squirrel at the final flight. So, look, he wouldn't have won. He wouldn't have beaten Jayuz, who you put up on the show. And fair play to you, you got that one spot on. She was an easy winner, but I think he'd have been closer, and he might have been in fourth, fifth kind of thing, which it would be lenient enough to be dropped 3 pounds. And I was looking through his form, and this could be the time of year to kind of put him in something like a tracker, because he has a very good record at this time of the year. So three of his career wins have come in March. He won the Imperial Cup, of course, last year at Sandown, and then he ran very well at Aintree afterwards off 134. So those kind of races, Sandown, the Imperial Cup, possibly looking for a repeat there, and at Aintree, I'd be interested in him as well off a current mark of 127. I think he's well treated.
Yeah, I like that. Just looking back for the form there, he's £2 below that Imperial Cup win. He has got a counter hurdle entry as well. But 127 get you in a county nowadays? I'm not entirely sure.
I kind of hope he doesn't go to the county. I don't think he's that well handicapped, but
No, no, no. I don't think it'll get you in. But, yeah, for
something
an Imperial Cup.
slightly calmer waters. I think
Yeah,
he'd have a good chance.
for an Imperial Cup for sure. I mean, it was third in the Betfair behind Iberico Lord last season, wasn't it? Wasn't it?
He
So
was.
yeah, I obviously he's gone off the boil, but yeah, I think I agree. He did run quite well in that race. Definitely one for all the trackers for sure.
Yeah, I thought he showed a little spark and a little more than maybe he got credit for. Was there anything that caught your eye over the last 2 weeks?
Yeah, just a couple. I put Malta Bene in the 115 at Ascot, and she just the issue was whether a wind would hold up. And I don't think the wind was the issue. I think the trip on that dead part of the rail at Ascot. I mean, she just never. She kind of came there with a good run, and then the rail was riding so dead at Ascot, just like proper cut up ground. I think the winner came from winner came sequence. Samuel Spade came from wide, off the fresh strip of ground up the outer. And I just think that she only weakened away late on. Didn't get beaten a million miles. She's been dropped £2, and the form behind that Cheltenham race behind where Woodoo, Joyous, and Take No Chances works out incredibly well. I think she is well handicapped, and I think she'll be of strong interest down in definitely down in trip, but perhaps not down in grade. I think she's one to keep an eye on in these Class 3 handicaps. And there was also a graded horse in there, Gibbs Island, in the victory at Ladorum at Haydock. I thought it was a very good performance. This race has been a good pointer towards a triumph in recent years. You know, the likes of Salva win it, Bill Zenith, Porticello, Monmorel, Caldestan, Frodon, all good horses, and most of them have showed up well the triumph. I just thought the way that he travelled was so impressive. In behind the runners, hurdled quickly. It looked like a natural hurdling debut. Come there powerfully and Stan Shepherd, anchored out wide and one without a tap of the whip. Like he won very cosily, tenderly handled in the final closings. Pulled 6 lengths clear of Give It To Me OJ, who was a decent horse in the flat and was only beaten 5 lengths on debut by East India Doc. So I know I won't want to say he's at that level quite just yet, but you'd say that East India Doc on that form's got a pound to farm at Gibbs Island. I know it's not that simple. Pulled 18 lengths clear of Lavender Hill. Mobile's course has been a bit of a talking horse. 23 lengths clear of March Daglier, who I saw at Weatherby for Jamie Snowden. Massive chasing type. I quite liked him. He was, of course, second to Nietzsche Has last time out. So I actually think the form of the race is very good. And to win like that first time up was quite impressive. He's got a beautiful staying flat pedigree. He's by Ifraj, and the progeny of Ifraj with Urban Sea and the Damsire, part of the pedigree. An excellent record over jumps. Like most of Ifraj's best horses over timber have Urban Sea in the pedigree. Like your Galileos, you see the Stars, and the Damsires, things like that. So it's 20 to 1 for the Triumph, and I don't think he's the worst each way bet of the world, but he's a graded horse going forward, definitely.
Very good, very good. Yeah, I like both of those. You sent them on to me there earlier, and I had a look, and yeah, I definitely see the angle on both. Gibbs Island was impressive in that contest. So Malta Bene and Gibbs Island for Matty and myself. Just the one this week, and it's Go Dante. So that there are tracker horses for this week. We'll move on to the next segment of the show, the browsing the markets. Plenty to discuss in this category this week, I suppose, with Cheltenham handicap entries being released. Did anything catch your eye, Matty?
Yes, so the entry's obviously been officially released. I think we had a good idea of who was good anyways, but happy go lucky for the Ultima. I put him up on the GG column actually for the race, and I put him up for the race at Cheltenham a couple of weeks ago on the podcast, and he ran a good race. I think it was up against it. I think the issue was the trip, of course, the trip on fairly decent ground, whether he'd be quick enough for some of these informed chasers, and it just proved the case. But he did come there. It was 2 out. He was still pitching there, and he just weakened away. Didn't completely fall off the cliff either, and you just wonder whether that was a good little prep for the Ultima. I mean, I know that in recent years the Ultima's been it's a race where classy horses are tending to win it, but Vintage Clouds won it as an 11-year-old in 2021. Happy Go Lucky was second to Vintage Clouds there, £7 below that mark now. He's £12 below that. Is the Ultima in 2023, that famously hot Ultima with Cork Ramble and Fast or Slow. £11 below his third to the home press in the rehearsal chase. And I just think that, I know he's 11, but he did show plenty of zest. And going back up in trip off what probably a decent enough mark, decent enough weight, I think he's got a fairly good chance. Mel Rowley, she's only been training training under rules for about 4 years now. But they had Quintana, same connections had Quintana finished second in the per temps last season. And I just wonder whether he just ticked quite a lot of the boxes for the Ultimate. I know he's getting on, but he's only had 13 races. He's won 4 of them. He's got quite a bit of back class. Cheltenham form's crucial. So yeah, I'd be very interested and happy to go looking for a 33 ton for the Ultimate.
Yeah, I was half laughing but half kicking myself when you texted earlier. You beat me to the punch on that one. I was actually discussing the Ultima last night and this morning with a mate of mine, and we've kind of both landed on Happy Go Lucky. You've kind of made the case for him. I think the Ultima this year might be similar to a Vintage Clouds kind of renewal,
I
rather
think so.
than the last couple of years where there's been really well handicapped horse. I'm not sure. I'm not too keen on those at the top of the market, first and foremost, I suppose. Then you start to dig a little deeper, and like you say, he didn't actually run that badly in the 2023 renewal off a £12 higher mark.
No.
And I thought his comeback run was very promising. I know you were keen on that day. I was very concerned about the trip. I don't think he's ever really been at his best at 2.5. And I think, and I was kind of thinking it might have been a prep for something like the Ultima. I was shocked, to be honest, that he was 33 to 1. He was 50 to 1 last week in a place. And I remember looking at it and saying, no, it mustn't be the plan. I must have missed something here.
Yeah.
And actually, 40 to 1, I think, after the entries came out.
Yeah, he's
I'm
top
not
price. He's only thought it's one firm. Top price elsewhere, so they're all gone 33. Some 20s in the place as well.
Yeah, I could see him now really shortening up closer to the time. Potentially, I could see him going off close to 10 or 12 to 1. I think 33s is great value in him. That's a really good shout. I'm in full agreement there, and so is my buddy who has been previously mentioned on the show as being a shrewdy in these type of races. My view, it's not so much a horse, it's the county hurdle. Willie Mullins is definitely going to win it. Which one, I'm not sure. I just quickly looked through his list for the race. So he's got Kopek de Me, who's been gambled now, has a couple of entries, so could take up any route, but 7 to 1, Absurd 9 to 1, Cargisi and Carnique, Ethical Diamond, all 12 to 1. Like any of those 5, if you knew that Paul Townend was going to ride them. Last year at the festival, I think Absurd was Paul Townend's only ride in the handicap, and Julia Price, despite the ground probably going against him. Now, I had the race in mind for him pretty much since that day, that he'd have a quiet campaign, which he has, and they might look at a repeat. But I'm kind of drawn to Cargis in the last couple of days. A couple of things. Perhaps she may not be good enough for the mares, or they may have one better for the race. And her mark, like she was given a rating of 139 when she ran at Ascot, and her performance rating for that day was 138, which tends to suggest the ratings, I think, are normally close enough to that. So I definitely don't think she's going to get higher than 139. It may even get 138. I think I could get ahead of the curve here with her, and it's same course and distance, the county, as the Triumph last season. If she was off 138 or 139, I think it'd be too tempting, and I think they would run her here rather than the mares, especially with, they look like having Jade de Grugy now, even if they don't run Rossim out in the race.
I was just going to say, yeah, de Grugy came out and won quite well actually early today, didn't she? Giving weight away as well. And just wonder whether that'll now be their mare's horse.
Yeah.
And obviously in the same colours as Cargisi. Whether Kenny Alexander will make sure that Cargisi is a county horse. I think it's a great shout. I think, as you know, I'm well on board the Ethical Diamond train race. My only concern is that we flagged him up a couple of weeks ago, and my only concern is that I just think it's been a terrible bit of planning, a bit of placing from this horse. I mean, when they did it with Absurd, they kind of had him out the back, or at least somewhat trying to challenge in graded company. And so naturally he was given fair enough mark for essentially trying race they couldn't win. Ethical Dan, they put him up £7 for that win last time out, and I thought it was impressive. And I just wonder whether he actually did need that confidence boost to get his head in front. Whether the company did to see him do it as well. So I know he's off. I forgot the mark now, but I still think he's just very similar to Absurd in the sense of how they've campaign. In the sense that he's a very classy flat horse. He's had the triumph form. I just think that win last time out was a good confidence booster. I'm still very much keen on. But yeah, you're right. I mean, which one will Paul ride? That'll be the one, I think, won't it?
Yeah, I think, like, especially if they only run a couple in the race, given the artillery they had for it, I think whatever.
Would you back Absurd if he turned up fresh here? I know he's been given an entry.
If Townend was on him, I definitely would. I'm kind of debating at the moment whether I take a chance in the race or whether I wait and whatever Paul rides have a proper go at it.
I think none want to know bet on Absurd. I think it's 8-1. It wouldn't be the worst bet in the world at this stage, I don't think.
Yeah, I think those.
You could chance any 3 or 4 of them, couldn't you? But yeah. It's unless you want at fancy prices, it's probably perhaps best to keep the powder dry, especially if you aren't playing the non-winner no bet markets as well.
Yeah. Now, and at the same time, like if they kind of relied on one and it looked to stand out on the day, you could see it going off quite short.
Yeah, definitely.
Either of those 3, I could see them potentially, if Townend is jacked up, going off at 4-1 or possibly even less. But yeah, still mulling it over. Maybe by next week I might have made up my mind. Is that it from the ante-post on your side, Matty?
Yeah, that's it for now. Yeah.
Perfect. We'll move on. We'll take a look at our deep dive. We're taking a look at the Ladbrokes Trophy Handicap Chase this week. The last time we had a show, I must give a shout to Matty, who was very keen on Joyous, in fairness, when we went through the Newbury Handicap, and duly obliged. So for our followers, for our few subscribers, they got a bit of money for that. So that was a good shout. What did you make of this race, Matty?
You know what? This is one of my favourite races on the calendar. I'm not entirely sure why. But yeah, it's kind of cut up a bit since, hasn't it? Obviously with Morocco coming out, Can Do Kid coming out. But it's an interesting. So I've done the 10-year trends. You've got 9-year-olds have won 5 of the last 10. 6 of the last 10 carried 10 stone 8 or less. Top and bottom weights are only 1 from 10. Just 1 double figure SP in the last 10 years as well. I think that's largely down to the majority of these horses kind of treating this race as the proverbial Gold Cup, for want of a better phrase. 9 of the last 10 all finished in their first 3 last time out, which discounts quite a few in here. 8 of the last 10 either won or placed right-handed at least 5 times. 6 of the last 10 won or placed in Class 2 company at least 4 times, including the last 4 winners. And 8 of the last 10 wore headgear. Now, there's not a whole many that do tick all those, but the one that I've been keen on this race for a long time is Our Power. Won the race in 2023 off £3 higher, but Dylan Johnson now negates that, so he's effectively off his last mark. And I've always had Our Power down as a horse who needs to go right-handed. I think all of his wins have come, bar one maybe, have come going right-handed. I know he has one left-handed, but it's been a long time since. And for that reason, I thought his 2 efforts at Cheltenham this season have been very impressive. I was speaking to a good pal a while about it in December, and he was keen on Our Power for Cheltenham. I said, you've got to wait until the Collar Trophy, the Ladbrokes Trophy now. And obviously ran a good race behind King Turgeon, ahead of Chianti Classico. Then I think he just bumped into Chantry House on the going day. Still, when you just think, I know he's took a turn for the worse, but on a good day, Chantry House is quite clearly chucked in. I just think this Our Power, this has to be his Gold Cup. I was concerned to hear Sam Thomas come out yesterday and say that the seasonal plan has been the Scottish Grand National. I couldn't believe that. I mean, anyone with a pair of eyes can see he needs to go right-handed. And I know that he showed it well. I know that he showed it well in the Grand National, but he did ultimately weaken. I just wonder whether that trip will be. I think the trip of the Scottish National will be within realm. The other that I was kind of keen on, so I wanted to discount Highlands just because top weights in this contest. Not incredibly, not what I'd quite like, and I kind of discounted Lowers Bar for that reason as well. Beachcombe, I know he won well last time out, but it was pulled up in the Class 3 novice the time before. And you just wonder how on earth is he 8-1 for a race like this. Qatar Dory would fall short on the class angle, the Class 2 angle. Golden Sun's a bit of a rogue. He has a tendency to pull up for all that going this way around will suit. The other one I was kind of interested in was Charlie Barales. I actually backed this horse last season from a couple of pounds out of the weights at Doncaster in the Great Yorkshire Chase, and he does tick the angle of finishing or placing in Class 2 company, and finishing the first three last time out. And he beat Doc Pickme at Doncaster, kind of the second race of what the Great Yorkshire Chase is, stepping stone for that. Doc Pickme duly obliged next time out in the Great Yorkshire Chase as well, won very cosily. Interesting to see Charlie O'Brien didn't go for that race, and he said might have just been safe for this. He goes very well right-handed too. He's won at Perth a couple of times now. I just think Charlie O'Brien is off quite a low mark for Diane Sayer. I just think it could be between him and Our Power. So I'll go with the Our Power and Charlie O'Brien's forecast to make us all rich.
Jeez, that is ambitious, but no, I do kind of like Our Power. I agree with you with many of your comments as regards the others at the top of the market. I thought Highland and Lowry's Bar, they're carrying a lot of weight, and I'm not sure they're thrown in off their marks. Like, I know they're novices and they could be progressive, but are they better than 150 horses, like, which they'd need to be well treated off their marks? I wasn't so sure. I did like Our Power. Again, I didn't actually see the interview, but I saw your tweet referencing the target. Surely that is not the case, and it was just a bit of chatter. The one I kind of liked at prices. Now he's going to blow all those stats, or the majority of those stats, out of the water, but it's Heltonham. Now, he's never won right-handed, but he's only run twice right-handed, and I'm actually kind of surprised by that, because he's often looked like he wants to go right-handed, especially over fences. I'm just looking at his two Newbury wins last season. Around this time last year, he was actually second here on this meeting over 2.5 miles to Golden Sun, beaten half a length. And then he went to Newbury and he beat Can Do Kid off a mark of 130. Now, he's 6 pounds higher than that, but Can Do Kid is since 12 pounds higher. And he was quite strong at the finish that day. And that was heavy ground, Newbury. They pulled a mile clear. And after that day, I said, this is a well handicapped horse. And it might just be that he needs to step up and trip now. Now, I wouldn't worry about his first 2 runs this season. Yeah, they were disappointing, but it normally takes him a few runs to get going anyway. And kind of February, March time, he has seen the best of his form over the last few seasons. I just thought he was overpriced. I know he was 16-1 earlier in the week. There was still a bit of 14-1 after the declarations. I think that's gone now. I think 12-1 is best price, but I can pick holes in a few at the top of the market, and I thought 12-1 was a bit of each way value about Heltonham.
Yeah, I like that shout. Back on his last winning mark as well, 136, and he did jump to his right at entry last time, didn't he? Yeah, good place for him right-handed. I think if Skelton, one of Skelton does me like this, I won't be happy with that.
Yeah, I struggle to get him right now as well. To be honest, not so much Dan, but Harry. Every time, I
always had Helton down as a bit of a mudlark, but in fairness, he did win on gutter soft at Newbury beating Sir Psycho. So yeah, I think I couldn't dispute that claim whatsoever. Yeah, we'll have the TriCast instead.
It was a slight concern, but I'm thinking this trip, good to soft, might be okay. He might get away with it. I think over 2.5, he probably wants a test, but I think he might just get away with it over 3 miles.
Connections have been trying to plot phlegmatic for the race for years, well, haven't they?
They have.
Yeah.
I just think this could be one of those that they've batted out. I think Dan is a genius. I think he's absolutely brilliant. Like, yeah, look, he plays the game, but
there's a fine line, isn't there? There's a fine
line, but when he targets one, he rarely misses. And I'm hoping that this is going to be a target, or else he's going to be maybe jogging around towards the back of the field. But just each way, I thought he was overpriced. Not a strong call. I didn't really have a strong opinion on the race, but I would be keen to take on the top two of the market. So we'll move on. We'll get into our yay or nay, our agreements, disagreements. Judging by your message earlier, I'd say there could be a bit of agreement this week. Give me your first selection. Just to explain to viewers, I suppose this is a section where we make the case and we either agree or disagree with it. We'll have a couple of goes and we'll try and pick 3 horses over the main races on Saturday, and then we'll touch on our best bets later in the card. But we haven't made the case to each other off screen. We just literally give the name of the horse, and it's up to ourselves then to make the case for or against. So Matty, give us your first one.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it simple. The first one, it's Rubod in the in the Big Novice Chase. Paul Nicholls, he's coming back into form now. I know we touched on this quite a few weeks back about him being out of form, but he's starting to come back. And the Yard have won the 6 out of the last 10 renewals. I know he's taken out of his comfort zone by surgery and went falling there. I don't think he ran too bad though. But he lost nothing in defeat to Loda Sud, who was by far the best English hope for the Arkle, and probably isn't completely out of it either. I'll be surprised if he beats Manfred, but still I thought it was a very good effort. Course form over hurdles, he began quite poor with an 8th in Udonis, but we can forgive that on his first run from France. Since then, he's had 3 wins and 2 seconds, and that includes a 9-length second to Constitution Hill. He's clear on racings, and I just think that if he jumps round, if he comes on again for that second to Loda Sud, I think some of these will struggle to beat Rubo.
Yeah, I agree with that one. The only kind of slight negative is I was hoping that Jinko Blue would stay in this race. I actually fancied him to beat Jinko Blue, and we'd have got a better price. But
I
like that angle. I don't think this is very deep. Kind of had it between himself and Imperial Saint.
I can't believe Ashdale Bob's in here. I mean, I was looking earlier. I thought that's got to be a type. Anyways, yeah, who's yours? Next one, sorry.
I'm actually switching codes now. I know I caught you on the hop a little bit with this one this evening. I am going to Suddle, and I quite like Diligent Harry in the 5 furlong race at Suddle. Now I know he has to reverse the form at Marshman from Linkfield last time, but I think there are a couple of reasons to suggest that he might. He has an excellent second time up record in each season or each year, I suppose. 1011, so that's a huge positive, and the 0 was a very decent effort actually in a grade 1 at Ascot. He's also 2 from 2 over 5 furlongs on the all weather, as opposed to Marshman, who's yet to win over the bare 5 furlongs. It was obviously 6 furlongs the last day at Linkfield. Marshman has won over 5.5, but hasn't won over 5. And there's also a 3-pound swing at the weights. I had this race kind of between the two of them. I thought they were a little bit ahead of the rest. And I just have a feeling that Diligent Harry, he won this race last year. I think there's a chance that he can reverse the form, and I thought 3-1 was quite reasonable about him. I think there's a good chance, given these conditions, I think they're pretty much ideal for him, that he'll run to his kind of 108 to 110 bracket, and I think that will make him very hard to beat in a race like this.
Yeah, I had to dust off the old flat form book for the cobwebs off that earlier to go through this race. But no, I'm in agreement. Part out of rational and part out of spite for Marshman, who I followed off a cliff last season, and the one before for its worth. But if any horse needed the old knackers being chopped off, it's Marshman, and he's 2 from 2 since, and that's my only worry, is that I just wonder whether this he'll be able to kick on now. He's always had talent, he's just not always been mentally there, and I wonder whether just having the Gelding operation has eked out further improvement. You are right, dropping back to 5 furlongs. Not entirely sure that'll be his bag. I watched the race last time out, and it just smacks of Diligent Harry kind of dropping. He weakened late on, just in the form of what he needed to run. That second time out record is excellent. I think it's just a flyer for this, wasn't it? So I've been in complete agreement with Diligent Harry.
Yeah, I think so. And I actually didn't mention that, but he well picked up that. He just looked like he weakened. I think he'll improve for that, and I think this has been the target. So okay, so we're Diligent Harry and we are Rubo. Have you another selection, Matty?
Yeah, it's another somewhat of a Kempton specialist and Blow Your Wad for Tom Lacey. I know they had a slow start to the season. They couldn't buy a winner, but the fourth from the last 14 now. It carries top weight, but I just think he's got a lot more class than some of these. Record fresh, 4 seconds and a win. Kempton form is 3 from 3 at Kempton, including the Pendle novices a couple of last season as well, wasn't it? It's just one of those 2 mile 4 furlong specialists. I think it's a very specialist distance. And again, top weight I think is fine. And he beat Outlaw Peter off top weight, given by a length, given him £3. He was now rated 145. Subsequent form figures that season 2-2 and 2 wins. I just think I nearly went for my old mate Solo in this actually, stepping back up in trip. I watched that race back and I thought just heavy ground around that trip just looked like he wanted further, but morally I couldn't do it again. So I think Blow Your Wad is quite a good chance for the informed Tom Lacey off top weight.
Yeah, again we're in full agreement. I just did a rough pricing in this race earlier in the week, because there was a few I was interested in. I could have been swayed other directions, but when the prices came out, I was very surprised. I thought Blow Your Wad would be competing for favoritism, and I see 11-2. I know it's only priced up in a couple of places, I think, but I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting much shorter, and if 11-2 is available across the board, I think that's great value. Like you say, you've touched on most of the points I had written down here, I think. I found it hard enough to weigh up the Pendle, but the novice handicap in December 2023, that's the form I think that really drew me into him for this race over course and distance. Like you say, Outlaw Peter was second, A Perfecto was third, Cop Mask was fourth. Like Cop Mask won his next 2 and went up £11. A Perfecto is now £9 higher, and Outlaw Peter is now £12 higher. I think that's very, very strong form for the grade, and I think Blow Your Wad, I know he's carrying top weight, but ideal conditions, perfect conditions, and he could be just a class above these. He might just take the majority of them out of their comfort zone.
And I'm also very surprised that the favourite Ideal de Board dropping back in trip and he's 5-2. Like I remember this horse last season at Ascot coming second to Welcome at Cartridge. You just think archetypal chaser, and then I thought it'd be perfect for that for the National Hunt Chase, the novice handicap chase now. Off going up in if you can kind of get a win next time out, but I just think it's a very false favourite to be on here. And then you've got I couldn't weigh up the form of Warren Gatrix's. I know he rides in a 3-time and then Bad. Well, if there's ever a better named horse than Bad, and you can find me one, Etalon's kind of got off the boil, and we touched on Solo. So yeah, kind of the 11-2 about Blow Your Wad is only available with one firm at the moment, but yeah, if that's the price, the available price on the day, then absolutely I've taken that.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes off close to half that. I think he'd be confident enough selection for me now at the price. Okay, so we're in full agreement so far. You've also stolen my thunder, my Blow Your Wad point that I was going to make. I'm happy enough to go with those 3, to be honest. So we've our 3 selections combined are Blow Your Wad, Diligent Harry, and Rubo. I'll be disappointed if we don't get at least one winner there, and hopefully more.
Yeah, so we've made a habit of getting one so far, haven't we? We need the full house at some point.
Yeah, we're just about kind of keeping ourselves above water, but hopefully this is the week that we burst through and make a big profit in our 3 selections. We'll move on to our best bets. Matty, you might have touched on some of these already. I know I have touched on some of mine. This week I didn't think that there was a whole pile of selections out there. I am quite strong on a couple of them, but it certainly wasn't a week that I'd be having 5 or 6 selections.
No, it's a tricky one. Chopping off, sure, but I was told my nap was. It was going to be our power for the best part of 3 months now, and it still is. It's just that nagging concern about the trainer's comment. But I suppose if we all listen to trainers, we'd all go skint. So the nap is our power in the Ladbrokes Trophy. My next best is one we've not touched up on, and it's gold in the Rivers in the Pertemps qualifier at the 232 Chepstow. I think the trick with this Pertemps qualifier, well, it's Pertemps. The trick with these races is to find out which one doesn't want to win, and which ones even need to win, or will take advantage of those who don't want to win. And David Piper's it requires a lot of tinfoil hatness, doesn't it? And David Piper's won this race twice since in the last 10 years, both with 6-year-olds. He won it with 2 seasons ago with Thanks for the Help, the JP horse. And that was on his first run after a wind-up. And then he went off favourite for the Pertemps next time out. Golden Rivers does have a Pertemps entry. And he's an interesting horse. He cost a pretty penny, 220 euros for a Golden Elite in 2022. And looked potentially smart with bolting up 15 lengths in a limerick maiden hurdle. And backed that up with a 4-length second next time out to the 130 rated Born Braver. The winner couldn't back it up next time out, but he had got some good back form with the likes of Argento Boy and Kintet Kalanisi, who I know that we both quite like. John David Piper's had 2 runs since. He was 4th in that Pertemps qualifier last time out, and he just kind of blew up coming to the last, and which did strike me as one with a wind issue. I just wonder whether lightning can strike twice here with the Thanks for the Help angle. And just if the tongue tie and the wind up helps, then I think he's got quite a good chance of a handy mark. So that'll be my next best. And then my each way one, I'll touch on one that we've not mentioned, is Baloo from Nicky Henderson in the Pendle. I thought it was a tricky Pendle to weigh up. I know he's got £10 to find the next lowest rated horse in here, but he was coming off the back of his Chase debut success, and I don't think it'd be such a big price in what's a small field. He just hated the 3 miles at Windsor. I think Windsor's going to be those tracks where it's a proper horses for courses track. And he jumped right through how he absolutely hated it at the soft ground. Didn't stay the 3 miles and was pulled up quite soon. He'd never travelled around Cheltenham. I can always forgive one for not travelling around Cheltenham. Back over Timber after a Chase debut was always an easy excuse. He just strikes me as one who has to go right-handed. Similar to our power, he posted decent RPR of Ascot going right-handed on Chase debut. I know he beat Bad that day, and it's a bit naive of me to mention Bad early instead, but he's not a hero. He does deserve a little bit of credit as Bad. He's ran well since. Was in receipts. Was given £7 then as well, and it was a course and distance here over hurdles on good ground in April. Pulled 4 lengths clear of one that's progressed quite well this season. He just like all of his best forms come either right-handed or on a flat or a galloping track. Like Kempton, he's 2 from 2 in fields of 6 or less. I just wonder whether if he gets out on a rhythm in front, he's entitled to spring a bit of a surprise now, gives him some more favourable conditions. Might be one of those that just picks up some placement in second. But 33 to 1, I'm more than happy to take a chance.
Okay, interesting. I do like the Golden Rivers shout. I do quite like that angle. And Pipe, what's his mark? Is he one that could need to win to get in?
Yes, that was the angle. So I think he's off 1-2. I think he's off 125. So you'd imagine you'd need to go, win this by 5 or 6 and go maybe £8 for some. £8. I think 132 would be okay to get in, maybe.
Low 130s, I'd say minimum. Yeah.
I think last year it was 134 maybe. So if you can, he did the same thing with Thanks for the Help, didn't he? You had to get him into the race, and he's just a bit of a rogue as well. But
Thanks for Help got £8 or £9, I think, before the Pertemps, didn't he? And went off a sharp price favourite.
Did, yeah. And so hopefully lightning can strike twice. It was yours, James.
Yeah, my nap is Diligent Harry. I've already made the case for him. I know we're in the middle of the jump season and we're looking ahead to Cheltenham, but I often find that when I do delve off to the all-weather this time of the year, they're actually profitable because I suppose you don't really look at it unless something really catches your eye, and it's not drawing me in, so I'm not looking for bets there. So I do my profitability will be kind of high during the winter months on the all-weather. I'm hoping that remains the case this week, and Diligent Harry obliges. I've already, I suppose, made the case. I do think he can reverse the form at Marshman over this 5 furlongs, a race he won last year. I think everything is in place for a big run on his second start of the campaign. My next best is going to be the horse that you mentioned earlier, Blow Your Wad. 3 from 3 at Kempton. You've already made the perfect case from the form of his win December 2023. Very, very strong. Won the Pendle as well at the course, or over course and distance rather, and goes well fresh. Really like him as well at 11-2. If that was generally available, I'd be very keen on that. And my each way is Heltenham in the aforementioned handicap chase at Kempton. Again, made the case for him earlier. I think if this is the target, he's going to be very hard to kick out of the frame at 12 or 14-1. Could see him filling the places. Might not be good enough to win. Mightn't get home at this 3 miles. But if he does, I love horses at Kempton that have that form over shorter. I really like 3 mile chasers at Kempton that have good form over 2.5 miles relevant to the race they're in. We see it time and time again with the King George, with horses stepping up and trip. Really like that angle at Kempton because you do have to travel there. And I do like Heltenham's chances. If the ground is a slight concern, I would like a little bit of good to soften it, but it might be okay at the 3 mile trip. It might actually help him, and be a confident each way shout. So there are best bets. Plenty to delve into from this week. Before we go, Matty, I must ask you, what about United? Are they ever gonna? Is it the end of the road?
It's just, it is very, it's almost, it's just comical now, isn't it? I'm happy. I am happy to just let this season slide. It'd be nice if we could finish with a trophy, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. But yeah, I mean, where do we go from here? Let's just get the season over with, buy a few decent players in the summer, and we'll kick on again. That's been very optimistic.
And that's been optimistic, but yeah, that's the best we can hope for at this stage. It just seems to be going from bad to worse. We're 2 United fans. For anyone that it's their first time listening to the show, and it's for our sins, definitely at the moment. It just seems to be getting worse and worse, and the stories get worse and worse, and
Oh, God,
then players go away from the club and they start playing well again.
Yeah,
and
exactly. And Anthony looks like Messi at the moment, which said everything, doesn't it?
Anthony is firing in goals for Real Betis.
Rashford looks fit as a fiddle for Aston Villa. Just it speaks volumes at the moment, unfortunately.
Yeah. Anyway, enough United chat because we really don't want to get that low this week. I've been James Flaherty. Been delighted to be joined by Matty Sutcliffe. Very informative as always. Looking forward to a good weekend at Kempton and elsewhere. And hopefully our followers will get a few selections or get a few winners from that. Cheers, Matty. Thanks very much.
Yeah, James. Thank you.
Thank you.